African Interiors. Karibuni to our home. Salam, my name is Lilly Bekele-Piper. I am a creative entrepreneur. I work in both media and design. I have been in Nairobi for a long time, raised my kids here over 14 years, but I'm an Ethiopian immigrant both to Nairobi and as a child to the US. And before living in Nairobi, we were in Addis Ababa for many years. So it's been a blessing to make the continent our home these last 2 decades. I am one of those very lucky women who married her college sweetheart. So my husband, Ben, is the best part of my life. And we together have 4 amazing kids who life would not be complete without. They're now much older, so our last born is finishing high school and heading to uni soon. And we're heading into a new chapter of our lives. But yeah, that's a little bit about our Ethiopian, Kenyan, Nairobian American family. So welcome to our living room. We spend a lot of time here when we're entertaining in particular, and the holidays, this is like all the activity happens here. I used to say for many years that books were my friends. I still believe that. So we love books in this house, and my husband has recently gone to like a tablet, but I'm still a hardback girly. And so anyway, lots of books. We've kind of organized all of our African books on that side, African authors, and we have a whole shelf just for Ethiopian authors. And then this is like my Black American authors, memoirs, fiction, different things like that. I mean, I don't know, probably nobody cares, but me, I love my books. And then the heart of this room to me is 2 things. One, our yellow piano, but also this beautiful photograph by an amazing Ethiopian photographer. Her name is Gueye. Just amazing. She has such an eye for capturing landscapes, for capturing people. And this is a picture of the Amhara region of Ethiopia, likely a farmer who's sitting down for a break. But to me, it's like a window into another world, into home. So this is really like the heart of our home. And a few years ago, we went to see dear friends in Senegal, and we brought back this chest, which to me is a piece of art. And it says on it Neofar, which is the Wolof version of kind of like Tuko Pomoja, we're together, something like that. So anyways, my husband thinks it's unnecessary, but I love it. And then this shelf is, just an extension of our book collection over the years. You know, when we were in Ethiopia, in the US rather, I was always looking for books by Ethiopian authors. It was so hard to find. So now they're like treasures to me. And thankfully now also you can find more publishers who are putting out our works. And so anyway, this is our books that are, many of which I have not read and I need to read. The rest of the room really is just, bits and pieces. Even this table is made by a local carpenter who did it in the Swahili style. This chest is from Mali. They do amazing leather woodwork and leather kind of carving. I don't even know, maybe embossing is the right word for that. Behind it is these shells that we've collected from different coastal areas across the country, across the globe, really, actually. And then the rest of this room has a lot of Kenya and Ethiopia in it. These chairs that we brought from Ethiopia are wood carved and then leather, and just really ancient skill of carving by hand, all of these symmetrical, beautiful emblems. A lot of Ethiopian art is iconically reflective of the Coptic tradition and the Coptic church. So as much as these might look like circles, they're crosses that go all around this. This is just the family piano. I have to force my kids these days to play for me, but 2 of them play, so thankfully I'm somewhat successful 50% of the time. And then pictures, just bringing all those loved ones' faces close to us as often as we can. Yeah, lots and lots of pictures. They're never straight because they're always, being tossed here and throw, or I'm touching them, whatever, when I'm feeling moved and missing people. But this is our living room. My parents immigrated to the United States when I was very young. The communist revolution had come into Ethiopia, and many people were leaving the country to find better opportunities, not just for themselves, but also to come back and contribute to the future, landscape of Ethiopia, or to take care of their families, and many times both. So my parents were fortunate to get education opportunities outside of Ethiopia. We left, but they raised us very much with a strong sense of our identity. We spoke Amharic in our home. Over the years, when family would also immigrate, our home was like headquarters for many, and we grew up sharing our home and our culture with both our neighbors, but then with our own people in the different cities that we lived in. So as I was coming into adulthood, it was always a dream to come back to Ethiopia in some capacity. And we were really fortunate, almost 20 years ago, to move back and come back with our 4 kids. Our youngest was 6 weeks old when we moved back to Addis Ababa, and our eldest was just about 4 years old at the time. So our Ethiopia chapter started, and it was a time of relearning the culture, relearning the country. I made many, many mistakes with Amharic that I had to also tweak and improve, but priceless years of both being able to give my kids what I didn't have in terms of being on the soil, on that red soil, and knowing their people and their communities and their culture. And then for me as a returnee to be able to reacquaint myself with this country that I love deeply, but because the political movements had not been able to be a part of. And so after many years there, work opportunities brought us to Kenya. And I started my career actually thinking I would go into creative communication. That's what I studied in uni. I was headed down that path. But 4 kids later, my path was interrupted a few times. And so I ended up doing other things. I worked in education. I worked in consulting. I consulted across governance and health projects. But when we moved to Nairobi in 2011, that work continued, but I just desperately wanted to get back to my creative roots. So eventually, I left the development sector in actually not till 2022, 21, to start my media company, Selam Hello, which is a media platform that shares stories of joy, of creativity, of innovation from the brilliant people that I've gotten to meet over these many years back at home, and really elevates the stories of Africans and the diaspora. And then about a little less than 2 years ago, I started the textile brand called Amina, which you're seeing right next to me here, which is named after my great-grandmother, Amina Hassan. And it is a celebration of this just centuries-old tradition in Ethiopia of weaving beautiful cotton into many different kinds of blankets and scarves. And then because I was blessed in my work to see some parts of West Africa, they also have a beautiful weaving tradition. So we're marrying some West African touches, which you can see here. This is from Mali, Bogalan, with our Ethiopian cotton gabi, to create kind of a new story for the Pan-African textile world. So Amina was born, and together with 2 other partners, we opened up the store Gorabet in Westlands in October of 2024, so just recently. And we've been sharing leather accessories, gemstones, and textiles from Ethiopia and beyond with the Nairobi community since then. So they say the kitchen is the heart of the home. That's definitely true for us. We both like to eat, but we also like to cook and entertain. So we spend a lot of time in the kitchen. Bits and pieces of this have turned into, again, expressions of the things we love. This is bought here locally from a dear friend. This frame is, I will fail to remember the name of the artist, Mor Gueye, something like that, from Senegal. He's one of the master glass artisans. So they have this beautiful tradition there of taking glass and then painting on it. So this has got 2 sides to it. Adding some fun and family pictures there. And the rest of the kitchen in some ways is probably maybe a contemporary African kitchen, a modern African kitchen, because definitely we need our conveniences. This is more of the glass art. And then Marcus Samuelsson, who is an Ethiopian chef, quite well known. He had a line of teas, and I just loved these tins called anbasa, which means lion in Amharic. And this tray is actually from a local Kenyan artist who's a bit of beadwork and brass. And of course, Ubuntu. I was in South Africa for work and saw this, and just really captures, I think, one of my core values. I am because we are. The rest of the kitchen, I've got pictures of my kids like everywhere. Maybe it's a bit much, and a bit of their also art. I mean, this is also art, I think, in its own way. I think this is from my daughter, Saron, when she was little, made that. This is a mortar and pestle we got in Egypt. It's alabaster. So unfortunately, in an aggressive day of spice pounding, I broke the pestle part or the mortar part, whatever part this is, but I've kept it because, I don't know, it's just a beautiful reminder of love and good food. And the rest of the kitchen, really, we have these high ceilings. And so when I was in Ethiopia a few months ago, I was in Arba Minch, which is a town in the southern part of the country. And there were these beautiful baskets. And traditionally, these baskets, you would put them under injera, which is our traditional food. It's a fermented bread. Bread is not really the right word for it, but it's really central to our food. So traditionally, these baskets would be underneath the injera. In some places, there are baskets like this that are used to actually toss the teff grain to help separate it. But anyway, there were some ladies in the market selling this, and I was like, these would look great on my wall. So anyway, in a very heavy luggage later, I brought them back, and it brings me great joy to see them in the mornings, just a reminder of love and care of our people. And what else? I mean, bits of art and fun around the kitchen. This is from a local Kenyan artist. What is his name again? I'll have to find it. But I got this at Christmas time, and I loved this modern retelling of Joseph and Mary and Jesus, this very contemporary story of a mother and the father as a boda driver, and the manger is a crate of Coca-Cola. I just thought, what a beautiful way to retell that story in a way that we can understand and appreciate God's love, actually, in a new way. I think it starts with a Z, Zoe Art, something like that. But I keep this up year round because it just reminds me of what's true, what's true. And then finally, probably the thing that maybe people notice is over time, my mom has given me these clay cooking pots that we use in Ethiopia traditionally to cook all of our food. So, some of the larger ones are used for some of our main dishes for high holidays, Easter. You'd have dorowet, and that would be in one of these beautiful clay pots. They are treated. It's called imashal. They treat the inside of it so that you can actually have food, and it actually gets better with time, somehow, like a cast iron does. And maybe what people would recognize most are the jabanas, which is how we make our coffee. So the Ethiopian coffee pot is really iconic in its design. You put the coffee and the water in the bottom, it boils, and then the neck of the jabana is almost like a sieve, as well as the spout. So it's a science that I don't always understand, but really appreciate. And so these pieces I pull out for the holidays, to put on the table and remind us of our roots and where we're from. And finally, as you enter the kitchen, the first thing that you probably see are these words above the door of the kitchen that say "Chigr yellem," which means no worries, it's all good. Very much like Hakuna Shida, "Chigr yellem." It's a very common response if you say, I'm sorry, can you take me to this place? Or are you still open? Or, I show up unannounced. The response is "Chigr yellem." So for me, it's a good reminder in the mornings, no matter what may come, try and keep that "Chigr yellem" mindset. Growing up in an Ethiopian family, that culture has definitely influenced how I design my home. I think when I was little, I missed Ethiopia. I didn't know that's what I was missing, but I had these beautiful stories and understanding, and from the food, from the textures of our clothing all around me, but I was surrounded by voices and sounds and design that didn't look like what we had at home. And so I think there was this ache in me actually always for home. So even when I was little, I would sketch designs, and a lot of it, when I look back, it mimics some of what I see in Ethiopian design. The repeating of geometric shapes or the vibrancy of colors embedded between lots of neutrals. So I see a lot of that when I look back when I was younger. And so now being able to come home and even being in Ethiopia, one of the things that I just love is looking at like our centuries old traditions and then seeing how can I use them in maybe daily life a little bit more. So even what I'm wearing today, this is all Gabi material that's been made into an everyday dress, but also bringing that into my home. So from furniture to crosses, Coptic crosses on the wall, to jewelry. I mean, my culture, my heritage, my people, they're with me at every turn. And I can't stop myself, which is the problem. I'm going to Addis Ababa soon, and I'm already like, I need to take 3 luggages so I can, continue to create that sense of joy in my home. And for my kids, all of my kids have, every time I buy something, I usually buy 4 of it so I can make sure they each get one eventually. But growing up in that Ethiopian family, it's just been the greatest gift because it gave me endless stories and endless ways to express myself. So this room is small, but we really used like every inch of it. So in this corner, we have a photograph from a good friend, Rebecca, who was raising money to help offset the dowries of young South Sudanese women. Kakuma, so she had an event called Catwalk to Freedom a couple of years ago. So this photograph is actually from my friend Armstrong, an amazing Kenyan photographer who took this picture, and just a reminder of the strength of our people. And more glass art from Senegal. I kind of fell in love with Senegal, just totally. If you're an artist or creative, it's a place that completely inspires at every turn. And so more glass art, I don't know where I got this, somewhere, at a market here. And this basket is from my dad's hometown of Harar, Ethiopia, which is one of the holiest cities in Islam. And so, just a reminder of my Abba and my love for him, and a piece of that story here too. I started a podcast, it's going to be 7 years actually this year in December, called Selam Hello. It was originally called Uproot, and the name Uproot was really inspired by this idea of being uprooted from different places, from languages, from cultures, and then reinventing yourself almost and telling those stories of living in between. But when the pandemic hit, the podcast slowed down a bit, and I took a different job. And so when I came back and relaunched the podcast in 2022, I just felt like that name didn't fit my story as well. And I used to open every show saying Selam and Hello. So I changed the name to Selam and Hello. It actually became a media company at that point. We have multiple shows. We have a YouTube series called Mixing It Up, which is a lot of fun, where we talk about life and everything that comes along with it, being a parent, being an investor, being creative, just living, trying to live an authentic life. And then Selam and Hello is a weekly podcast. We've done over 100 episodes. We've done over 15 live events all over Nairobi, all over Kenya. And that is a show about joy and creating more just world. So we talk to people who are helping us think about justice in the creative space, in the humanitarian space, in the economic space, in the climate and environment space. So we're talking to all these brilliant people, over 100 people. And so Selam and Hello has been just a really, for me, an amazing exercise in understanding the power of intention, the power of purpose, and the power of, persisting and creating really amazing ways for our voices and our people to solve the world's problems. And then we have we do strategic communications and support other companies as they're trying to tell their stories. So Selam Hello, the media company now is, it's still growing, it's still in an infant stage, but it's been an amazing way to also express myself creatively, but hopefully create influence and impact as well. The beginning of Selam Hello and why I started it, it's really been a need to self-express. I thought I would be the next Oprah, but God had other plans for me. And so, podcasting is one of those mediums that has very few barriers to entry. Basically anybody with a microphone, a phone can make a podcast, which is both scary and also exciting. And so the reason why was really because I've always been a communicator. I've always been expressing myself, and I wanted to create a platform where I could express and share the stories of people I was meeting every day who were doing beautiful, amazing things, and yet I couldn't find their stories. I couldn't understand, why they did what they did. So we've had just amazing people start from, the founders of Enda Shoes, the continent's first tennis shoe and athletic shoe company, Wanari Kahiu, an amazing director, Eliud Kipchoge, a world-renowned athlete, Abdi Latif Tahir, the New York Times East Africa correspondent. All these incredible people. I was meeting, Dr. Paula Kahumbu, just an amazing Nat Geo explorer, who are amazing scientists and teachers. And I wanted to give more space to their stories, more space to help us appreciate how much power is in our hands and how the solutions for all of our challenges are right here on the ground. We don't need to look anywhere else. And so Selam and Hello, that's my why, is to create more space for our stories so that the rest of us can have the courage we need to create those solutions that impact us every day. So let me take you to our dining room. To be honest, we usually eat in the kitchen. So this room really is almost my play space with art and texture and all that. But these chairs are the Love Artisan chairs. They're just an amazing, amazing Nairobi-based furniture company. They took this indigo that I brought back from Senegal, even though indigo is found all over West Africa, Burkina Faso, Mali, lots of places, but I brought this from Senegal, and they cold washed it like 3 times in order to help me make these beautiful chairs. So you can see lots of different fabrics there. Then this table runner is from Ethiopia. I've had it a long time. Ethiopian culture is just like embedded with these just beautiful geometric shapes and patterns. And so we've gone from the traditional gabis I mentioned earlier to just modern textiles. This table is from Kitengela, a well-loved Nairobi-based, actually not even Nairobi, Kitengela-based company that I really love. And this map I got for my husband a few years ago. It's a map of Upper Nubia, also known as Abyssinia. We all know that the borders that exist across the continent are false borders. And so this map isn't really an attempt to capture the cartography of the land and the topography of the land as it is and as it has always been for centuries. And just above it, that's actually the Maasai from Tanzania side of the Maasai community. That's a beaded necklace from them. And, I have a love for beads. And so in most parts of my house, you'll see not just smooth surfaces, but also lots of texture. I love texture, I love textiles. And so the beads kind of bring in that warmth to me. The rest of the room really has pieces of lots of Ethiopia, lots of Kenya as well. So if we go to this side of the room, there are a couple of different artists whose work I really love. This chair is an antique Ethiopian chair made from wood, carved from wood. If I'm not wrong, it's from one piece of wood. Ethiopia and Kenya both share this really amazing craftsmanship around wood carving and wood furniture. This painting, actually, I bought it in Lamu, but it's an Ethiopian artist, Nega, and it reminded me of my sons. These two, looks like two brothers to me. I have twin boys, light of my life. And so one of them happens to wear glasses. So I just thought, I don't know, this art reminded me of my sons. And a few years ago, I was in Jordan and picked up, this is actually a drum, and it says salam in it. So, for so many of the traditions across the region, we greet each other with this word, salam, peace, So I loved that this was in Arabic and, has the same root as Amharic, my mother tongue, and wanted to add it to our home. And really everywhere in our house, you'll see pictures of loved ones. So this is just full of nieces and nephews and godchildren and family and friends. And the rest of the art in this room really comes from all kinds of places. A dear friend, my dear friend Christy, gave me this painting when they used to live in Vietnam. And I had a chance to visit her there. And one of the things that reminded me of Ethiopia and Vietnam, I was so surprised because they're both have communist histories. There are parts of the design of Hanoi and Addis Ababa that really look like each other. And just the beauty of the people and the culture of sharing and kind of taking care of your neighbor. I just really loved being in Vietnam. And so this piece of work is just both a lovely reminder of my friend and sister, but also of a community of people that I don't know well, but whom I was also able to find, pieces of my own story there as well. And the rest of the art in this room is primarily Ethiopia. This is from an Ethiopian artist, and I'm going to cheat and look and see the name. I want to get it right. This is Alam Sagged Bahailu. He can be found on Instagram. I got these recently. I just love these portraits of, a farmer and a woman. Just to me, the eyes have it. The eyes say everything. I just loved that. And this wood carving is from Mali. I had a chance some years ago to go to Mali and work and go up actually to the northern region, but brought back this wood carving. I'm always struggling bringing back stuff in my luggage, being very overweight. Some baskets, more from Senegal and more Kitengela. These are Ethiopian Coptic crosses. Just some continuing that tradition. And in my home, probably, I think almost every room has a plant in it. I believe in green, bringing life and vitality to spaces. And so, I'm always propagating something. This is a snake plant that's being propagated currently. But I love adding green to most rooms in my home. And then lastly, this piece just above you is by an amazing Ethiopian artist, another young artist called Zion. She painted this for us a couple of years ago. I'd seen some of her work other places, and I wanted something that was my family. So this is a portraiture of my family, my two daughters, my two sons, my husband, Ben. And I don't know, I just love it. I love the color in it. I love the abstract nature of it. Of course, the Ethiopian eyes are there. And if you look back into the fidel around it, you'll see our names written in Amharic all around the faces of the individuals there. So I love finding pieces here in Nairobi that are also from places I haven't been yet. It's a dream of mine to someday maybe go to India. And there's a local company called Trade Routes Furniture that does bring in beautiful Indian pieces. And again, to me, it's the connectivity of culture, because you can see in so many of this design and this wood that came from India, this mimicking of that Swahili coast, the Swahili tradition of wood carving. So you see maybe different images and different expressions. Here, the sunbeams here, but again, just that craftsmanship that really comes through. And, we're always keeping the ancestors close. They're never far. So a few years ago, there's a great bookstore in Washington, D.C. called Sankofa Bookstore, which is founded by the great Ethiopian filmmaker Haile Gerima. And this poster was in the window of the bookstore, and I just had to have it. Our other son is named for Nelson Mandela. And so this is, they told me, an original election poster from the 94 election when he was running for president. And then, of course, Patrice Lumumba. Where would the world be without the work of Patrice Lumumba? And so just having a reminder that Lumumba not only is the Congo, but Lumumba is us, Lumumba is today, kind of just keeps us centered, keeps us reminding, what our purpose is. Easy to get caught up on, what's keeping us distracted, but our purpose is always going to be the liberation of our people. And so that to me comes into design. For me, it's an adding it's adding joy to this space. Maybe some people would have regulated, kind of this kind of political messaging to one space. But for me, liberation is a part of the story. It's a part of the creative expression. And so that's joined by, these beautiful necklaces from northern Kenya and different from Samburu people. This is from South Africa. This is from Ethiopia. Again, that beading tradition, that different but connected. Why does Nairobi feel like home to me compared to the other places I've lived? I mean, for sure, home is where your family is, where your people are. And so my parents are now back in Ethiopia almost full time, and Ethiopia feels like home for sure. It's my first home and my heart's home. But Nairobi is where I raised my children, and for them, this is home. When they say we're coming home, now that they're in uni, they mean Nairobi. But beyond that, I think they really just mean to us, to their dad and I. And I think as a family who has lived between two countries primarily, the question of home will always be there. And maybe that's why I put a lot of Ethiopia in our house, because I want to create this Ethiopian space in Nairobi. But also it's a Pan-African space because we love the people of the continent. We have loved ones in our lives, family who are from Sudan, who are from Eritrea, who are from Senegal. And so this home is also a space for them and their stories. But Nairobi feels like home because, you go to get to the butcher, they know your name, When you haven't been around, they say, where have you been? You've gained some kilos. They say, hey, you've gotten fat, So it's the knowing, people knowing you, that's what makes it feel like home. Running into people unexpectedly, being able to have people, our last born now is graduating, and just thinking about all the people who have known her since her, creche days, just the babe when she's a baby. That makes this city home, and it will always be home. Even if we were to leave tomorrow and not come back for 20 years, Nairobi is permanently a part of who we are. We cannot live without this city. We can't live without Kenya culture. It is, it's embedded, like I wear it on my body because it's a part of my heart. Yeah. So welcome to my office. I'm one of those people, I'm fortunate to be able to work from home and create at home, which has been a real blessing the last couple of years with so much transition in the world to be able to have a space at home. We're getting ready to restock some new products in Gorobit, our store. So this is more of the Amina textiles. These are some of our scarves. Maybe I'll put one on. This is Ethiopian gabi mixed with baule from Cote d'Ivoire. So this is like a shawl and a wrap, and we're having a lot of fun playing with the colors and the textures with this. So this is some of that's coming soon to Gorobit. And one of the fun combinations we've also been working on is using recycled glass beads from Ghana and adding the Coptic crosses to make prayer beads, doing some short ones like blessing beads, some longer ones. These are all kind of ready for a final inspection and check before we put them into the shop. And this is just more art. One of my favorites, Michael's Soy. I love that she's looking down with me. It's a very feminine space, feminine strength in this. So if you actually look around, you'll see all the art has features women in it. This is actually a woven basket from Ethiopia that I'm kind of using as a bulletin board. It was just sitting in my closet. I was like, I need something to punch little things in. So it was perfect kind of solution. My daughter made this piece of art. It's meant to speak about nature. It's actually called Go Outside Kid. It's actually for sale, I should say that, because she's in the process of trying to raise her fees for uni. So she made this piece of art, and I love it because her dad, when they were little, used to always say to them, go outside, kid. So this is a tribute to her dad. And so the fabric that we're playing with here, here's some more baule. I think I have some indigo down here from Cote d'Ivoire. And so just playing with the different textures and bringing them together for some new products coming up. And just more art on the wall. That's Tabeb from Ethiopia. Like I said, I believe in bringing nature into every space. So, lots of plants. I have to admit that I don't remember who some of the artists are over there, but more feminine art. The yellow in the middle is actually my daughter's did a painting of me. It's like string art and a kind of a negative space, kind of using like what you don't see on camera. So I really love that. It's funky and different. And so Selam Hello, my media company, I was really lucky. I asked the organizer to take my logo and make it art. So what you see behind it, those characters, that's the Ge'ez alphabet, which is how we read and write. And so that's Salam over and over again in repetition. And then he just had this beautiful interpretation of Salam and Hello's logo, which I just love and kind of anchors this space here. And yeah, this is like my favorite space in the house. It's like sacred to me, my beading station where I work on all of the Coptic crosses. And these are more that are going to the shop soon. I just need to do a final check just to, check on quality. But we're starting to mix a bit of bone as well with the brass crosses. The crosses come from Ethiopia and the beads from Ghana, the bones from Kenya. We're using a bit of Kitengela beads as well. So another Pan-African story in the making. So this is my play space. I mean, I don't even want to call it an office, even though there are some stressful things that happen here as well. It's been a place that's really brought me a lot of joy to create in and plan and dream in. So thank you, African Interiors, for visiting our home. Karibuni tena anytime.